Hello and welcome to the Miles Irvin Show. I'm your host, Miles, and happy Friday, everybody. Another week in the books. Week 2 of the NBA season concluding tonight and this weekend. We've got some in season tournament games happening tonight, the first in season tournament games of the first ever in season tournament. So much fun happening here tonight, and we just wrapped up a few games here last night. When I was looking at the schedule heading into these games, I was like, we'll see if I end up actually making a real video talking about these games because there's definitely potential for some not great stuff to talk about, but there is definitely some fun stuff to talk about in these games. So let's just get right into it. The last game that just occurred, it was a second game of a little two game in a one city type series between the Spurs and the Suns, and the Spurs walk out of Phoenix with two victories, which is very impressive for the young Spurs as they got off to an incredible start, led by 27 points in the first half. Phoenix came back, tied the game, but then thanks to an incredible 38-point, 10 rebound performance from Victor Wembanyama in his fifth game, the Spurs get their second straight victory in Phoenix against the Suns. And let's talk about Wemby because my oh my, in the first half, he was incredible, hitting all types of jump shots, and he closed the game for the Spurs as well in that fourth quarter. The Suns came out and did not give much energy at all. The Spurs scored the first 13 points of this matchup, and they led by 21 points, I believe, in the first quarter. It was just all Spurs to start the game. And, something that was very impressive, Devin Vassell was a big reason why they had that lead. He had 17 points in 17 minutes, but he did not play in the second half with a hamstring injury, I believe it was. So for the Spurs to pull out this victory without Devin Vassell, who's been, their leading scorer probably so far this season, one of their best players, is very impressive. And they got a lot of good performances all the way around, not just from Victor Wembanyama, but Zach Collins with 19 points. Him going 3 for 3 from downtown is very huge because he's struggled from three to begin the season. Jeremy Sohan had a big impact on the game, 14 points, 5 boards, and 9 assists. He and Devin Booker were getting into it a little bit in the fourth quarter. That was fun to watch. And then you got good performances off the bench from Trey Jones with a double double, and then Jetty Osman hit some timely 3-point shots in this matchup. And it was enough to pull out the victory because the Suns, they played terrific in the second half, made a full-on effort to get back into the game, and it was the Kevin Durant, Devin Booker show, but also Drew Eubanks and Keita Bates-Diop were great in the fourth quarter, especially of this game, making some, well, for Keita Bates-Diop's case, making some difficult shots. He had that one crazy layup over Wemby, the reverse to the right. That was a very impressive finish by the former Spur there. But Devin Booker coming back in his second game of the season. He had not played since the opening night game in Golden State. He makes his return and looks incredible in the last three quarters. 31 points, 9 boards, 13 assists, 10 for 19 shooting. I mean, I may have said this in the video where I talked about him against the Warriors. He is definitely in the top tier of players that I love to watch because Devin Booker is just a straight bucket. He knows how to get his shot that he wants efficiently. He's improved his defense as well. He's a very solid defender now. He gives a lot of effort on that end of the floor. And he's just one of my favorite players to watch for sure. Now, turnovers down the stretch for the Suns hurt a little bit, but it was really just Wembanyama going crazy, hitting. Well, first he had a couple just easy layups in the post because of mismatches off of in the half court. And then, Wembanyama he hit a pull-up three. He had some face-up jumpers. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. This is just the fifth game of his career. And something that I liked seeing in this game was the 26 shot attempts that Wemby took, that number, it's great because he is so tall. He is so much taller than everyone else, including Kevin Durant, that he can get whatever shot he wants, and it has a good chance of going in because he is a good shooter. And one thing that stood out to me, or that I just thought about in the fourth quarter, Wembanyama, he caught the ball like at his knees, rose up for a jumper over Durant, and Durant was called for a foul. And I'm just like, man, Wembanyama could draw so much contact, even from those bigger guys, because like th- they're gonna want to try to block Wembanyama's shot, and it's just a foul. It's a foul. He's gonna have so many and ones. He's gonna have so many 4-point play opportunities. I'm sure. I know he got that in the French league as well. He was able to get a bunch of and ones there off of jump shots just because of his size. But you know, I know I've always I'm the type of person to always be a little chill when it comes to like not wanting to go crazy over like rookies coming into the game, especially guys that are super hyped up, like Zion. I wasn't too crazy. Guys like that Wemby, I haven't been too crazy yet. Just because I don't want these guys to be set up for failure. And I feel like if I hype them up too much coming in and they aren't as great as I want them to be, even if they may still be pretty solid, it may be disappointing to me. So I've come in with not really many expectations, and this guy has absolutely wowed me. Like, I know it's just 5 games into his career, but he definitely looks like the real deal, and it is unbelievable. Like, I don't know. This is how good he is now, and he really doesn't know like anything about the NBA. Besides, just playing in these games and playing in practices. This is only 5 games and he's still got a ton to learn, and he's already this good. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible to think what the Spurs could be down the line. And they are now 3-2 on the season after getting this victory in Phoenix. The Suns dropped to 2-3 and 1-2 at home. Both of those losses to these Spurs. So, these were matchups that coming in. I know I mentioned in the video on Wednesday that like when I first saw these two matchups on the schedule, I was like, oh man, we're gonna have two Suns blowouts. It'll be cool to see Wemby versus Durant, but the Suns will probably get blowout wins. But these were actually two extremely entertaining, fun matchups between these two, and I can't wait until these two teams play once again because that was a blast to watch these teams go at it these last 2 games. Moving on, let's go to probably the closest finish. Well, definitely the closest finish of the night, and that was in Salt Lake City as the Orlando Magic get another road victory against this one against the Jazz. They win it 115 to 113 thanks to last year's rookie of the year Paolo Banchero having his first major breakout game of the season. He scored 30 points, 9 boards, 5 assists to including the game-winning shot at the end, a nice layup inside to get the Magic that victory. And this was a game where in the first half it was definitely a game of I don't know, it was definitely a game of runs. I wouldn't even say runs, but like to start the game, the Jazz had a 10-point lead. Then after that, the Magic started to get control of the game. They had I think an 8-point lead at halftime, and they basically had the lead the whole rest of the game until the final 2 minutes when the Jazz started to go on a run thanks to Lowry Markkinen. He hit a couple big three-pointers to give the Jazz the lead with about I want to say 13 seconds to go. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, dude, the Magic, this would be so sad for the Magic. This would be their second heart-crushing loss of this road trip. They already had that tough loss to the Lakers. I just hope that this team can pull it out." And Paolo Banchero, who had been very quiet to begin the season in what's kind of a lesser role. He's definitely been taking less shots. He's been more of a facilitator for that Magic offense because the Magic have been playing more as a team. But Banchero got to the free throw line a bunch today, 15 free throw attempts, hit some clutch jump shots in the fourth quarter, hit that game-winning layup, as I said. Yeah, they just gave the ball to Paolo Banchero. He just went right inside. He was able to expose the mismatch of Kelly Olynyk guarding him a lot of the time as well. So the Magic pull out the victory, and they are 3-2 now to begin the season. And this is very impressive considering that 4 of their 5 games have been on the road. Their first game, it was a it was a home game against Houston, which they got a blowout victory in there. But then they won in Portland. They had the 2 LA games where they lost, and then this game in Utah. And they were able to the fact that this young team was able to go 2-2 on the road trip is very, very impressive. Their next matchup, they finally get to go back home, and on Saturday, they get to host the Lakers, and on Monday they host the Mavericks. Mavericks have been super hot, and the Lakers just beat them. So I will definitely be tuning into both of those matchups. Those will be super fun. For the Magic. They just play such a nice team game. It's really a pleasure to watch. Um, good win for the Magic. And for Utah, they were able to just stay in it. They've got a good performance from John Collins to begin the season, his first year in Utah. Taylor Horton Tucker was good. Um, Jordan Clarkson was a bit inefficient tonight, just going 5 of 20 from the field. But Lauri Markkanen is off to another hot start this season, just like he did last year for this team. So, moving on, I really didn't get to watch too much of these other 2 games. I did get to catch the beginning of the Raptors Sixers game, and Scotty Barnes. I gotta give a shout out to Scotty Barnes because after kind of a disappointing year 2 last year, after winning the Rookie of the Year in his first year, he has been their best player to begin this season, and he has looked very impressive, very versatile player. Tonight he had 24 points, 8 boards, and 8 assists. Um, and that's big because Siakam hasn't been that great to start the year. OG's been okay, but like the main standouts to me have been Scotty Barnes, and Dennis Schroeder has been a very good playmaker for the Raptors to begin the season. But of course, the Sixers get the victory. They I believe they're now 4-1. They're 3-1 now on the season. Thanks to, of course, Joel Embiid was able to get to the free throw line a bunch today. But Tobias Harris has been huge for the Sixers to begin the season. He's been very efficient and he's been very solid, which is great for the Sixers. Of course, now with the James Harden trade, um, they're going to rely on him a lot more. Kelly Oubre is now in the starting lineup. They are going to rely on him a lot more. It's just important for all these guys to be able to provide solid support to Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. So good on the Sixers to get that victory. Toronto still they're only 2-4, but I think they've had a very solid start to their season. They've been a lot better than I expected heading into this season. Probably a lot of people as well. And then the final game of the night, we had the Pelicans holding off the Pistons after they had, I believe, like a 25-point lead. Um, the Pistons were able to claw back in it, but CJ McCollum, Jonas Valanciunas were able to hold off the Pistons in this one, and this was a shootout early. The Pelicans and Pistons were going at it. I believe the Pistons made their first 5 shots, but then they went ice cold, and the Pelicans just blew the game open there. They got a lot of buckets from Matt Ryan, who's back in the league now with the Pelicans, hit 7 threes. I want to say 6 threes in this game, and a lot of those came in the first quarter. Herb Jones with a big 21 points. Dyson Daniels had a good impact off the bench. So the Pelicans are now 4-1 to start the season, and that's very solid. I mean, another thing to mention with this game, no Ingram, no Zion. Zion resting the second half of a back-to-back. Ingram out with a little minor injury, nothing too serious. But Pelicans off to a 4-1 start this season, and that's great for them. That is very great for them. I know I was talking about it yesterday with the Pelicans Thunder game. It's important to get those early victories in the season, and games like this against the Pistons, you got to take advantage of it. Even if you have 2 of your main guys out, your 2 best players out, it's important to go get the victory. And that's what they did against the Pistons. So good on them to get those victories. now that all the games have been talked about, let's get into the player of the night with 4 games on tonight. Who was the player of the night? Will we have a repeat player of the night? We haven't gotten a repeat player of the night yet in this on the Miles Irvin show, but tonight it had to be Victor Wembanyama with the best game of his very very brief career. 5 games in, just absolutely incredible. I know I was talking about it before, but it is just unbelievable that we get to watch this guy play from the start of his career, and it's important to try to, you know, try to enjoy this as much as we can, because if this guy turns out to be, as great of a player down the line as people think he could be, then we're going to look back on games like this, in Phoenix against Kevin Durant, and him just going crazy in this and that, being like, "Oh my gosh, that's his first like takeover mode." The previous game against Phoenix where he had that poster dunk. Oh, that's his first poster, stuff like that. We're going to look back on in like 10, 15, 20 years when he's like, in his prime, and at that point ending his career, and if he's that great, we're just going to be thinking about games like this, and it's really cool to think about things like that. So I want to try to enjoy that as much as we can. Heading into tonight we have the first in-season tournament in NBA history, the first in-season tournament with the first games of the night. In the link, I'll put a link in the description down below to my podcast that I do with Jackson and a couple of my cousins, where we talked in depth about all of these in-season tournament games, previewed all of them. That was a lot of fun. So if you want to hear my in-depth analysis and you need a refresher on the rules of the in-season tournament, because it can be a little bit confusing, check out that video. I'll leave it in the description below. That came out, I believe, an hour prior to this one. So definitely check that out. It's always fun getting to talk with those guys. But previewing them quickly here, the 2 big games of the night for the in-season tournament. First up at 7:30 on ESPN, it's the New York Knicks and the Milwaukee Bucks, which is a very intriguing matchup. These are two of course, the top teams in the Eastern Conference from last season, but both of them have been off to pretty shaky starts to begin this season. So we'll see which stars can step up. Will it be Jalen Brunson? Can Julius Randle finally knock down some shots for the Knicks? And will the Bucks be able to get back in it defensively, because they have been the worst defense in the league so far, and they've thrown up a couple duds themselves as well. So we'll see who pulls out that game for the in-season tournament. And then the second game of the doubleheader on ESPN at 10 o'clock, we've got Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks, who are undefeated at 4-0, going up against the 3-1 defending champion Denver Nuggets, who just lost their first game of the season on Wednesday in Minnesota. So these are flat out 2 of the best teams right now in the Western Conference and in the entire NBA going at it. So that should be super fun to watch. It's always fun to see Luka and Jokic go at it, against each other. We'll see if the Mavericks can keep up their hot shooting and their hot offensive start that they've had through their first 4 games of the season. The fourth quarter will be huge in that one. The Mavericks have been the best fourth quarter team in the NBA, so stay tuned for that fourth quarter. Even if the Nuggets have like a 10 to 15 point lead, the Mavericks can definitely get back into a game, and we know Luka's been going crazy in the clutch so far this season. So will definitely be a couple fun matchups here tonight. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content, leave a comment down below with your thoughts on all these games from last night. I'm Miles. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope you have a great weekend. I'll catch you again on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. That'll be the next Miles Irvin show I upload, unless maybe this weekend I'll do a surprise. We'll do a recap of the in-season tournament games. We'll see how that all goes. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.